Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He's got.
Mind if I go ahead and start? Like, call the meeting to order. We're going to come out of closed session and be it resolved that as the best of each board member's knowledge, only public businesses matters lawfully exempt from open meeting requirements, and all such matters as were identified in the motion to go into closed session were heard, discussed, or considered during the closed session. Do I hear a
Second.
and now a roll call, please?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We could, Mr. Martin, if you'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Y'all repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And if we could have a moment of silence and please pray for us for the decisions we make, as well as the Middle East and those families that have lost.
Amen to that.
Thank you. And we're going to start off here with citizen comment period. Ron Havner. If you want, you have a microphone up there or down here. Thank you, sir. Excuse me, I'm sorry. If you go behind the podium there, it's a microphone.
My vehicle, okay, and they held the road up. I asked the man, why is the road held up? Well, we're using explosives. How long are we going to be? 2 minutes. Well, it turned into 6 minutes. And when I asked him to check how much longer, he just turned and looked straight ahead and he ignored me. So I was really peeved, naturally, okay. When I got my daughter where she needed to be, I got on the phone, I called him and I left him a pretty bad complaint. No cuss words, no violence, no threats. I just let them know we weren't done with that matter. They called me back. Before they called me back, I called the sheriff's department too and told them what had happened. And I talked to a sergeant. He said maybe if we were involved, maybe we would have been a little bit more courteous in expediting you a little bit quicker. Now, I don't know how they have the authority to shut down the road, okay, but they did. Now, when I leveled that complaint, I had already seen where it looked like they were going to be doing new digging closer to where I live on the other side of their property. Now, the problem you have there is where they're going to start their new dig is right next to the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. Now, of course, from what I understand, I live directly across from Tinker Cliffs, okay, at the bottom of it. All that land down there from Tinker Cliffs on over to McPhee's Knob, the Appalachian Trail Conservancy is buying that land up to preserve the pristine view. How on earth, I don't know how that cement plant went in there and went in between the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, maybe wasn't there then, but you know, the goose that laid the golden egg for the Triple Crown, I mean, for the Appalachian Trail is the Triple Crown. We got this cement plant out there in between that and the National Forest. Now, that floated and that's gone on for a while. And I'm here to tell you today, in my opinion, it needs to stop. If each and every one of you took your phone out and Googled the dangers of limestone mining, what it presents to the surrounding area, you will be shocked. Let me tell you, out of sight's out of mind. When you have a business like that, if you make a berm around it, you don't see it. The people that come through there, I've had them come through from Washington, D.C., going to Los Angeles, from Canada down to Florida on bicycles. It's a bicycle route. A lot of them don't have any idea what's there until the leaves fall. When they're not there, you can see that pit. That pit out there is the size of a mini Grand Canyon. They're getting ready to do another one. The lady told me, no rock breaker, Mr. Hebner, you don't have to worry so much about noise. We use explosives. When you use explosives in that environment, you could potentially release radon, several chemicals that are really, really bad for the environment. And the wind is blowing it towards Greenfield, over towards Woodbridge, Downita Hills. We have a lot more people now living in this area. I think we really need to look at that. And it's not only impacted me. If anybody in this room lives within the wind pattern, which you know is a lot worse now than it used to be, and there's more people here now than what there used to be, you would know that, hey, we really need to look at doing something different here because conditions have changed. And I personally have had a conversation. If I'm over my 3 minutes, I'm sorry, I'll move on. But I have had a conversation with someone that whose father used to run that plant. That man died of cancer. When they biopsied the polyps in his nose, they said it was cement dust and stuff from the cement plant. Now I'm talking about, what I'm concerned about is the explosion, what they're letting in the atmosphere. The next time I come here, I want to spend 3 minutes or so talking about the manufacturing of cement. And I hope every one of you just flip a bag over and look on the back and see what it says, because you don't want it in your eyes. You don't want it on your hands. I just want to bring that up. And I hope, we're lucky. We're lucky that the Mountain Valley pipeline people don't walk down here and see that pit, because instead of chaining themselves to equipment over there in Montgomery County, they're going to be down here at the cement plant saying, oh my gosh, look at what's going on here. These people are they're allowed to operate a business that could really, really hurt some people. So that's all that I got to say. And sorry if I went over.
No, thank you, sir. Reuben Brown. That's interesting.
Probably have to move this way down.
Do.
Thank you. My name is Robin Brown. I live on Catawba Road. I'm one of Ron's neighbors, and Ron, you did an excellent job. Thank you for representing our community. Everything, kudos to what Ron shared today. I want to make you guys aware, I've been out there for 28 years. My husband and I, we bought our land, we built our home, and we were well aware of the cement plant when we built, and we had been told for years that they were going in an opposite direction. They had a 50-year mining operation going the opposite direction where they are today. They called us and they sent us a letter. They met with us about a month ago, and now they are expanding operations. They're planning to move out and destroy our beautiful landscape. My home faces Tinker Cliffs, and I consider it a privilege every day to walk out and be able to see that landscape. If you haven't been out that way, I'm assuming every one of you are well aware of the Appalachian Trail and that beautiful valley. It's going to be destroyed. If they are allowed to mine and expand their operations, our beautiful landscape is not going to be anymore. We have been dealing with the cement plant dust for years, and they have told us over and over and over, we're working on it. They continuously tell us that. They've done nothing. Today, when we come through there to come to the supervisor meeting, we had to literally stop, didn't we, Ron? They had the roads blocked with packing cement bags. And there was a gentleman standing out the road, and he literally could have been hit. So they do nothing, but it was a dust bowl. And I have to laugh too. When I come through there every day, they've got these signs that says, we honor quality. Well, what kind of quality is it when you're breathing cement plant dust? Your car, when it rains, your car looks like it's got paste on it. And try to get that off after it's dried on your car. And we've been dealing with these issues for years. The truck traffic. I don't even know where to start with that. My neighbor, Mr. Wingate, who has long passed, we did a road petition years ago with VDOT. And they did a study on that road that when the additive trucks were actively on our 779, there wasn't enough room for a school bus and one of the trucks. So when they met, one of them was going off the side of the road. Well, you can guess what happened. Our school buses were riding ditches with probably some of your children and grandchildren, if not on those buses, if you've been in this county for a long time. We had a near fatal accident with one of the tractor trailers that somehow got routed out our road. One thing I do have to give the cement plant is they have started paying incentive to get the trucks off of our 779. I know I'm going over. I'm sorry. I'll make this quick. They have been paying incentive to their additive truck drivers to get them to not use the back roads going from Newcastle to Roanoke Cement, the sand trucks, the additive trucks. That has improved some, but they still have road drivers that are still utilizing these roads. And again, it's not enough room for 2 cars to pass on that road, not less the truck traffic. So when the Roanoke Cement plant tells me that they're good neighbors to me, I don't trust them. I sit in a meeting just like this back when you had them at nighttime. And when they did their expansion many years ago, and the president of the cement plant point blank told us, all the residents that come to that meeting with concerns about the truck traffic at that time, he point blank said, I can assure you, Ms. Brown, we're going to be hauling our product by rail. Well, guess what? The very next day, the trucks were rolling and they haven't stopped yet. They've taken a different direction. They're now going up 779, which from what I understand, our neighbors up and down 779, they now have issues with that truck traffic. So I'm going to wrap this up to say, with the future expansion, we're going to have even more truck traffic. We're going to have even more cement plant dust. And if I may, one other point that I would like to make, my husband and I met a real estate lady a couple of weeks ago, and it has rocked me to my core. We were talking about the cement plant, and she said, are you talking about the Roanoke cement plant? And my husband and I said, yes, we are. She said, oh my God, my father was the president when they were Lone Star cement plant. And she said, he died from silica dust poisoning. He had cancer, and it came from the years that he was there at that plant ingesting the dust, the cement dust. It started out in his lungs, and he had tumors in his sinus cavities that eventually went to his brain and killed him. So that has rocked us to our core. So that's living proof that people end up being in that plant environment day after day, breathing that dust and those different additives that are known to cause cancer, the limestone, the shad, all of that is, and it's living proof that it will kill you and you will end up with cancer. So I wanted to share that with you guys. That was eye-opening to me, even more than the other issues that we were dealing with. I'm concerned, that for myself, my neighbors, we're breathing this every day. So thank you for your time.
Vicki Graham.
Good afternoon. I'm Vicki Graham. I live on Old Railroad in Oriskany. And the elections are fast upon us, so I thought I would find out a little more about one of the candidates for the Fincastle district where I live. So I found his Facebook page and I asked him concerning the Craig Botetourt Trail, how he thought it could affect Oriskany. I thought this also would be important because he has been publicly endorsed by some of the members on this board, so it would maybe give a little insight into what some of you people are thinking. So his answer, I think maybe he was trying to give a compliment, but I'm not sure. He said, you all will find a way to cope. He then wrote that the community can ignore it or embrace it. Ignore it, really? That tells me he hasn't been to any of these meetings since we derail people have been here, or he would know that we cannot ignore it. Every day, if it goes through every day, when I leave my house, I'm going to be wondering if it will be the day that I collide with a bicycle in the dust on a 14-foot wide road, on the blind curve, all the stuff you've been hearing month after month. I cannot just ignore it. But when I've asked about the solution for that, what I have been told is slow down, be nice. Okay. So then he went on to give some examples of embracing the situation, ranging from turning the post office into a small museum. And I think that the Postal Service might have something to say about that. And if there is no Postal Service there, there is no building either. A general store, of course, a bike rental, and my personal favorite, a walking tour of Oriskany. I thought, aha, I can do this. I just bought these nice, cushy, rather expensive shoes. They're really good. I could walk people around Oriskany Square. Okay, on your right is the post office. It came in on the back of a truck. Isn't it cute? On your left, King Memorial Church. For 119 years, the doors were open, not locked. Trail came through. They're locked now. If you want a tour, $5. Okay, but there were some other ideas he gave, but they might deserve their own 3 minutes. I heard a trail enthusiast give an explanation as to why businesses have not popped up around McGaffey's Knob. He said the land in the area was privately owned. Was it supposed to be just taken? Well, you know what? That sounds a bit like Oriskany. But in the spirit of embracing the idea, I have come up with something. You might notice my new shirt line, Trail Unfiltered. At the end of my driveway, sit out there from morning till dusk. I don't know, that might be my whole life, right? But, board, I want to ask you a question. Will I need a business permit to do that? Will it need to be rezoned? These really are legitimate questions. Will it need to be ADA compliant? I really have never wanted a small business, and this is all getting too complicated for me, so I'll just forget it. But here's another idea. Stop telling us what we should want and how we should live. Show us some respect. And if you really want these fanciful ideas to come to fruition, for the next 10, 15 years, watch the obituaries. You'll be able to buy up most of Oriskany by that time, introduce some new blood, and they can come in and Daleville Oriskany to their heart's content. Hey, Marty, I think I've got a new shirt idea. Thank you.
Andrew Smith.
Security.
Good afternoon. I'm thankful to use this opportunity to use my freedom of speech and be heard today, so thank you. I apologize for unintentionally going over my 3 minutes last time, so I'm going to be quick in speech and give straight facts today from a reliable and trustworthy source. We are seeing that what we are saying is coming to fruition in real time. Last month, one of the points was the linguistic theft regarding book banning. We can't remove criminal pornographic material targeting children due to the misconstrued term book banning, Yet our leaders have taken authority to book ban and remove quality materials in the name of irrelevancy and outdated information. My question is based on who? So far, again, from a reliable source, so far, books that have been removed, 127 board books, laminated cardboard books for very young children, 5 books on denomination and SECTS, sex, 22 books on Christian living, 78 books on Christianity and Christian theology, 38 books classified as Christian fiction, 33 books on the Bible, including Bibles such as the NIV, NKJV, the HCSB, and yes, they've removed several more accurate translations of the Bible. Authors removed, in this very partial list, over 35 well-known authors, most of them Christian leaders, such as Billy Graham, Ann Lotz Graham, James MacArthur, Mike Huckabee, Laura Bush, George Bush, Beth Moore, Joyce Myers, Candace Cameron Bure, Julia Clinton, Michelle Duggar, Charles Stanley, Tim LaHaye, Stormy O'Martian, Chuck Swindoll, David Osberger, Bruce Wilkinson, David Jeremiah, Don Piper, and even the United States Park Service on the signers of the Declaration of Independence. For someone who claims to want to provide freedom to read, this list of over 18,000 books removed just this year includes some that were damaged or lost, but not many. Seems a little bit more than a little biased to me. The Botetourt Libraries network with Roanoke, but our library director only manages Botetourt, so being in the network is not quite the same. As for some of the authors, many of them are prolific writers, as you may find some of their works. This is based on a biased removal system. Some of them should not be considered irrelevant because of historic and research classification, which are never irrelevant. Removing 1,800 books and then saying we don't remove books unless they have been complained about, but refusing to remove the books in question is dishonest and contradictory. There must be accountability. There must be community standards based on absolute truth. That is the only way a society will flourish. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Palmer?
My name is Ann Palmer and I live in Fincastle. Thank you so much, Andrea. Those statistics are so sad. And I saw you all writing things down and I'm so glad for that because what she's got to say is true. So as Christians, we judge what we see. We're not called to be judgmental, but we're called to judge. And last week I was really encouraged because you called for a moment of prayer and I thought, great, that's great. And I must have missed that the other times. But it makes me wonder, since we're still here fighting to get these books removed, who you prayed for and what you prayed. I cannot understand that. So I just wanted to read really quick from the scriptures. This is Matthew chapter 7, verse 17. So even every healthy tree bears good fruit, but the diseased tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. Everyone on the board, all of you have the ability to pull these books. It's a handful of books that are in question, that's it. And I don't understand why you refuse to protect the hearts and the minds of children. I was also reading through my Bible, a Bible plan that I'm in to read through the New Testament in a year. And I was in Ephesians chapter 4. And it says, they are darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to their hardness of heart. All I can conclude is that I'm reading about all of you, someone leading your group that cannot see what these books are. It is so confusing to me. And I showed another book long time ago, but I just want to show you this one. I want everybody to have a really good look. Peek at that, or look at your interest.
Sneeze.
Have you like really taken this in? These are the things, these are the image children, not adults. These are the images that children are seeing. They don't need to see this. I'm all for this part. Let's talk about a sperm. Let's talk about an egg. Kids don't need to see pubic hair and a penis and testicles. There's no reason for this. I'm completely baffled. If this makes you uncomfortable, it should. This is adult material. This is one little book that little kids can look through. Biology is great. This little bit down here, look into, it's so cool. I was a bio major. I love this. It's fascinating. God's awesome. You can put two cells together and make a human. You have to look at that. And I'm going over on super fast here. I want to respect this time limit. Pornography is printed or visual material containing the explicit description or display of sexual organs or activity intended to stimulate erotic rather than aesthetic or emotional feelings. Erotic is relating to or tending to arouse sexual desire or excitement. It is so clear. The kids do not need to see this. I don't know. I don't know what's driving you all, this board individually as a group, but it's not your conscience. It's not morals. And you're culpable. You're culpable.
Ruth Sellers.
Good afternoon to you all. I'm Ruth Sellers and I live on the old railroad road near Oriskany. And we're still fighting against this trail, as you all probably are aware, because there's such a safety issue with this thing. I don't know how I'm gonna manage driving with horses on the road, which I went through Sunday and that was fine. There was about 8 of them and there were no problems. They pulled over to the side and stopped. I offered to stop first, but they waved me on. Very nice people. No horses bolted, which I'm glad of because I wouldn't want to have to go through that with car repairs. I don't even know that my insurance would cover it. But safety is a big issue with this. And I don't believe either one of you would want to be in a hurry. Like if you had to be out there in a hurry to get to an emergency, like VDOT says, we can drive, there's 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. There's never been a speed limit sign put on that road. And they still don't have it there. But I tried driving 35. And if it's dry, the car behind me wouldn't be able to see. And I am not exaggerating. There's so much dust when it's dry. We had a little rain. Right now it's perfect. And of course, the autumn leaves is beautiful. But you would not want to have to get out and get going fast because the size of the road now that VDOT have come down and re-graveled, or not re-graveled, smoothed it all down. And the sides of it are very soft now. And if you get over on the edge, you might end up in the creek or in a ditch. Anyway, some of you may ask, well, why do you live there? It's my home. I love it. And the country's beautiful. And I'm sure all of you are enjoying it now. But do any of you come up with a solution to this? Because they're still talking $35 million and it's growing to have this trail and the bridges repaired, brought up to snuff. It's really going to go into our taxes and we're going to end up being really bothered by this, I'm sure, because taxes in Botetourt County are high enough as it is. And I don't want to fail to mention that our delegate, Terry Alston, we've been to many of his meetings and he's very rude with us. He has lied any number of times about things, doesn't want to, if we want to ask a question, he puts his hand up and said, I don't have time for any questions, I've got to go. So that's his way, but I don't suppose that he has appeased a lot of people. So it's a sore subject with us and we're not giving up. We can't give up because it's just too good of a thing to live in peace and beauty without having to be bothered with all the extras that's going to come with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Marty Jenkins.
I'm Marty Jenkins. Live in the Fincastle district. In January of 2023, the residents of Oriskany were shocked to read an article done on Terry Austin titled "The Cat's Out of the Bag." That title was referring to a proposed 26-mile trail running from Newcastle to Eagle Rock. This proposed trail was submitted by Terry Austin, a former supervisor for our district, who was our representative when this was defeated over 20 years ago. After reading this article, a group from Oriskany asked for a meeting with Mr. Austin to discuss this trail proposal and why he had proposed this area, knowing the people had fought hard to stop this same trail 20 years ago. His response to that question was he had been approached by stakeholders to submit this area for a trail. When asked who those stakeholders were, he refused to answer. On Saturday, September the 30th, at a meeting of the Republican Party in Newcastle, Terry Austin said in a speech that he submitted this trail at the request of supervisors. Now, my question to you, did the Botetourt County supervisors, in part or as a whole, conspire with Terry Austin to propose this trail? Why were the people that would be most affected by this trail kept in the dark for several years and blindsided by a magazine article? Why does VDOT state in their own publications that the two counties involved will be responsible for bathrooms and trash when the county tells us they will not be involved? We, the people, are tired of not being heard and represented by the people that have been elected to do just that. People of the 37th district, it is time for change. We need someone representing we, the people of this district, and it is not Terry Austin. Vote Stephanie Clark, November the 7th. People of the Fincastle district, you have an opportunity to actually be represented on this board. A person who will make a real change to the dynamics of this board for the greater good of the entire county. Vote Don Obenchain, November the 7th. Thank you.
The next individuals, Travis and Rondell. I want you to hold on just a second. I was wondering if you can wait because I have something to bring up to this after we go through some of the agenda. Is that possible? Because I want to talk a little bit more about the circumstances that are going on, if that's all right with you all. Thank you. Everybody's had an opportunity to go through the consent agenda. I hope. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second? I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Zarella, the approval and transfer of additional appropriations.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and all in attendance. For the month of October, there is one transfer request, which is a quarterly transfer. With respect to appropriation requests, there are 8 pass-through and 2 regular appropriations being requested. Pass-through items 1 through 8 represent donations, contributions, expenditure reimbursements, miscellaneous receipts, and pass-through of federal grant funds. As for regular appropriations, items 9 and 10 relate to funding for expenditures that were not taken into consideration at the time of the FY24 adopted budget. Especially requested that this transfer and these appropriations be approved by the board. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Zarella? If not, do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Mrs. Zarella, the approval of accounts payable and ratification short accounts payable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Total expenditures being requested for approval for October for the general fund, including debt service and all other funds, is a combined $1,771,890.68. Payable disbursements for the month are as follows: technology services, $213,481 paid to SHI International for Microsoft Office 365 cloud-based subscription service. This is an annual renewal. Under local health department, $98,192 to the Botetourt Health Department for the second quarterly operational support payment. Under CIP, regional jail boiler venting, $126,304 paid to OBA HVAC mechanical for project costs. And finally, under Fincastle Museum, $73,150 paid to AECom for professional services rendered for the project. Are there any questions or comments related to the requested accounts payable expenditures for approval for the month of October?
Any questions for Mrs. Zarella? If none, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Zarella.
Thank you.
Ken. Consideration request to reappropriate the transfer funds to the fire EMS capital reserve. For Chief Ferguson.
Chief Ferguson, take the lead on this.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The agenda item you have before you, as it relates to the Fire and EMS Capital Reserve Fund, each year since 2019, we've approached you all in October to discuss the revenues associated with EMS cost recovery. Again, that's capturing insurance and in some cases out-of-pocket expenses for transportation to the hospital from our EMS services. And as such, we've tried to develop a kind of a glass ceiling, if you will, on the revenues to request for permission to help provide savings to address capital needs of fire and EMS. You all have already actioned a portion of that this year in that the fund from last year, which was $234,209, has already been reappropriated. This request is actually to take the overage of funds received in the revenues, which would be a total of $156,334 above the 1.2 million glass ceiling, as well as $30,774 worth of sales from old apparatus and place that in the Fire and EMS Reserve Fund on top of the 234 that's sitting there. Traditionally, what we've done with that in October is we ask you to take these steps, and then we have an ask for what the next capital investment should be regarding apparatus. We had our meeting Sunday before last, and I'm happy to report that because we've worked through this last October with the 2 rescue engines and the ladder that's on order, that actually will not show up until FY '25. We do not have an ask this time. So working with the volunteer leadership, they understand that we've been able to address some needs. We have the new Reed Mountain tanker. We have the Troutville tanker that's on order, the 2 engines and the ladder. Will we have a need in the next 12 months that we will make an approach and ask for? Likely, yes. At this time, we've agreed and the consensus is that we do not have a need to request at this moment. So this would just be transitioning the funds into the account for reserve for later use. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Any questions for Chief? If not, we have 2 items in front of us. First one being a transfer of $156,330 from overages and from cost recovery funds into the capital reserve fund. And can we do all this all at once on one motion? And then the other part of the transfer into the capital reserve fund would be $30,774.37. Do I have a motion?
I move for approval of those 2 items.
I'll second.
Any discussion? If none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And David, I think that the resolution for United Way Roanoke Valley Centennial.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, you have before you a resolution commemorating the 100th anniversary of the United Way of Roanoke Valley. And with your permission, I'd like to read that resolution.
Please.
A proclamation commending United Way of Roanoke Valley on its 100th anniversary. As the United Way of Roanoke Valley was founded as the community fund in 1924, uniting business and community leaders who understood that a thriving economy is intrinsically linked to the well-being of its citizens. And whereas for a century, our community has stood shoulder to shoulder with the United Way of the Roanoke Valley, volunteering time, donating generously, and supporting its mission to pool resources, fund local initiatives, and spearhead collaborative efforts that address vital issues such as education, health, financial stability, and basic needs. And whereas through its impactful history, United Way has successfully generated over $232 million funding programs and partnerships that have enriched the lives of residents across Roanoke, Salem, Benton, and the counties of Botetourt, Craig, Roanoke, and Franklin. And whereas United Way has been an invaluable partner to us, synergizing with nonprofits, local governments, businesses, and educational institutions to enact positive change in individual lives, fortify families, rejuvenate neighborhoods, elevate marginalized communities, and ensure equitable opportunities for all. And whereas United Way has been a trailblazer in the health and human services sector, introducing innovative metrics, fostering collective impact, facilitating data sharing, and advocating for systemic change. And whereas countless professionals and community volunteers have honed their leadership skills and deepened their understanding of community needs through their engagement with United Way, participating in workplace campaigns, committees, and task forces aimed at advancing the organization's mission. And whereas United Way of Roanoke Valley has shown unwavering commitment to uplifting impoverished households and those classified as asset limited, income constrained, employed, guiding approximately 4,445 families towards self-sufficiency in the past 5 years, and ambitiously aiming to assist 10,000 families by 2030. And whereas the United Way of Roanoke Valley is marking its centennial anniversary from October 2023 to October 2024 with the campaign, A Century of Impact United for a Stronger Future, a seminal moment for the organization to envision its future impact and set its course for the next century. Now therefore be it resolved that the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors does hereby extend our heartfelt recognition and commendation to the United Way of Roanoke Valley on its 100th anniversary. We salute its enduring commitment to enhancing lives, fostering community cohesion, and creating a legacy of positive change that benefits us all. Proclaimed this 24th day of October, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. One of the things that it was a recommendation, I'd like a motion for this proclamation if we could. I'll make motion for the proclamation. I have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. If we can go, we have public hearing at 2:45 here. It's a deed and easement to Sagra Blue Ridge Park. Mr. Lanford.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. In your packet, you have a copy of a deed of easement that includes an exhibit for an easement. It is between Botetourt County and Lumos Networks doing business as Segra. The property is, the easement would cross is county-owned property, Blue Ridge Park in the eastern portion of the county. There is an existing cell tower on property adjacent to the park that is owned by T-Mobile. T-Mobile has requested an upgrade to its fiber service to the property. It will have a slightly different alignment than the existing service does to the property, such the request for the easement across county-owned property. The installation will follow the VDOT portion of the state road as you access Blue Ridge Park, and then as it crosses onto county-owned property, as shown on Exhibit B in your packet, the area clouded in red is the new alignment where they'll be doing installing 24 count fiber bi-directional bore to an existing 5-foot utility easement that then follows the remainder of the alignment to the tower. Staff has reviewed it. Parks and Recreation Maintenance Administration have reviewed, found no conflict with the easement, and after the close of your public hearing would recommend granting such easement to allow Lumos to begin their work and upgrade the fiber service to the existing tower site there. My understanding is they're working with appropriate folks for permitting to accomplish that work as well. That's a separate discussion than this. This is just for the grant of the easement. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, Mr. Lanford? If not, I will open up the public hearing. Anybody here to speak on this? If not, close public hearing, and do I have a motion for the granting of the deed of easement?
Second.
Any discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Lanford. And if we can go back to number 8, that would be the resolution of the support of VDOT HSIP, stands for the Highway Safety Improvement Program. McCoy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Before you, for your consideration, is a resolution of support for the 2023 Highway Safety Improvement Program. Our partners at VDOT are working to submit an application for funding for 2 projects. One is pedestrian improvements at the Daleville Town Center, Town Boulevard Marketplace Drive. The other is the Route 779 Appalachian Trail realignment at the I-81 underpass. If you remember, this was an application that we submitted last year to the Smart Scale program that was unsuccessful. So this project is another attempt at receiving funding for that. So if you would like, I can read this resolution for you and you all may consider it. Whereas the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors is committed to advocating for and ensuring the long-term provision of superior transportation infrastructure, both in the county and the region. And whereas the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors seeks to provide a safe and effective pedestrian transportation network. And whereas the Botetourt County works closely with partners such as the Virginia Department of Transportation, Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission, and Roanoke Valley Transportation Planning Organization to plan for and implement transportation improvements in the county. And whereas the intersection of US 220 and Town Boulevard Marketplace Drive in Botetourt has been identified as a key intersection for targeted pedestrian safety improvements under the Virginia Highway Safety Improvement Program, VHSIP. And whereas the Appalachian Trail is a vital community and national asset to be safeguarded and improved to provide the safest and best possible experience to trail users. Now therefore be it resolved that the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors fully endorses and supports the 2023 Highway Safety Improvement Program applications for a pedestrian crossing at the US 220 and Town Boulevard Marketplace Drive signalized intersection and the Route 779 Appalachian Trail realignment to provide for pedestrian accommodations for hikers along Valley Road.
Any questions for Ms. McCoy?
Can you tell us exactly what this does
Yes, sir. So
in terms of the
Smart scale.
funding smart scale and the whole complexities of
Absolutely.
VDOT funding?
I won't get into all the complexities, I think, because we'd be here all day, probably talking about the in and outs of smart scale, as much fun as that would be for everybody. The Route 7 to 79 project is one that we were asked to submit. So every locality has up to 4 projects they can submit through smart scale. We had an open slot. That project is, if you're familiar with the Appalachian Trail right there at Valley Road, hikers have to travel along the road to access the other side of the trail. This would provide accommodations behind the concrete barriers there at the road for them to be able to hike off of that road. If it is successfully funded through this program cycle, we will not have to submit that through Smart Scale, which would be fantastic. It would open up another slot for us for other projects. My understanding for both these projects, there would be no county money that would be directed to those. This is all state funding passed through the federal government. This is for the past 5 years, the Highway Safety Improvement Program has been focused on what they call systemic improvements. So that's your rumble strips on the road, signs for pedestrian crossings, that type of stuff. This is transitioned back into the SPOT program, which they do specific treatments to specific road segments in the county. And so this is their opportunity here to apply for some of that funding in a different route than us having to do so through Smart Scale. I'm not entirely sure of the timelines as to when we'd find out if these projects are funded, but we were asked to gather some resolution of support from this body and several letters of support, which several community members have submitted to us at this point for either or both projects. Hopefully that helps.
Any other questions? What we've been asked is the approval of the resolution and have it filed with the county clerk. First of all, I want to thank you for working on this, and certainly we see the need. We've been seeing this need for a long period of time. Thank you. And hopefully this will give us an opportunity to also enter in. This doesn't get approved in the Smart Scale. Hopefully it opens another slot, but at any event, you hear the resolution, you want to hear a motion.
I move for approval.
I'll second that. Any discussion? If none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And number 9, the resolution recognizing November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday. Mr. McFadden.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I'd like to present to you a resolution in support of Small Business Saturday, which is November the 25th of this year. For many years now, nationally, the Saturday following Thanksgiving has been a day to support our small businesses and particularly retail businesses that operate in our community. So with your permission, I would like to read the resolution in recognition of Small Business Saturday. Whereas the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors is committed to ensuring the long-term economic stability of the county and creating a business-friendly environment that benefits all who live, work, and travel in the county. And whereas all of Botetourt County's businesses, from small family-owned businesses to large manufacturers and logistics companies, play a pivotal role in strengthening our county and the Roanoke Valley by creating and maintaining a diverse array of jobs, utilizing innovative technologies, and investing in our community, which provides greater economic prosperity for all our citizens. And whereas Botetourt County currently has more than 800 businesses that provide approximately 10,000 jobs in the county, and which offer a variety of products and services locally and worldwide. And whereas over 80% of the county's businesses are small businesses employing 10, 20 or fewer workers. And whereas Small Business Saturday is a national initiative to promote small businesses and encourages consumers to support local businesses by shopping locally during the holiday season. And whereas the Board of Supervisors celebrates and supports the entrepreneurial spirit that thrives in Botetourt County. And whereas the Board of Supervisors acknowledges the many charitable, civic, and philanthropic contributions made by the county's businesses and encourages the highest level of corporate citizenship and community involvement. And whereas Botetourt County has brought increased awareness to the small business community, particularly those businesses engaged in food services, retail sales, and personal services through strengthening its relationships with the Botetourt County Chamber of Commerce, Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center, the Advancement Foundation, and SCORE. Now therefore be it resolved that the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors does hereby recognize November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday in Botetourt County as an opportunity to recognize and celebrate our small businesses for the essential roles they play in our community, as well as for driving and strengthening the county's economy. And the Board of Supervisors thanks its partnering organizations, including the Botetourt County Chamber of Commerce, Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center, the Advancement Foundation, and SCORE for the collaborative efforts required to promote, retain, and grow a vibrant and varied small business community. Adopted this 24th day of October, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. McFadden. Here we have another consideration resolution. If I can make this motion of approval, if I can have a second for that, that'd be fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Number 10, VDOT's monthly update.
Good afternoon. We are trying to finish up our resurfacing projects. Hopefully by the end of October, those will all be completed. We have had two traffic engineering work orders. One of them came in after this was sent out. So the first one was for a speed study along Tinker Mill Road and College Drive to see if that warrants posting of the speed limit. That is currently in the T&E office. We also had a request for guardrail placement on Route 658 Laymantown Road at the daycare center there. You may be familiar with that one where the accident happened. That's also in traffic engineering now for review. And we have had 26 permits issued this month. And of course, we still have all of our land development projects and land use permits going on. We continue to do our regular maintenance, pipe replacements and mowing and some shoulder work and grading gravel roads, our normal stuff at this time of the year. I don't have anything else unless you have any questions.
Blue Ridge,
No, sir.
Ben Castle. All right. How about Amsterdam?
Nothing, sir.
Of course. Do you have an update on Back Creek Road? That was where the
Would the spill happen?
Yeah.
It's been cleaned up. It's all cleaned up.
everything's done.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that project complete now?
I think they still have the final layer of surface treatment to do just right at the spot where the accident happened, and our area headquarters is doing that.
Awesome. Well, I have talked to residents, and aside from the spill, everything was great.
looks good.
They're
It
very
does,
happy
yeah.
with the project. So thank you for that. Residents that are not happy are Pico Road. Again, I have a picture of a tractor trailer coming through there, and I just can't figure where they're going. I don't know if they start up 43 and realize they can't get across the mountain and turn that way. That is my suspicion. I don't know what we can do to keep tractor trailers off that road, but it is really doing some damage to trees through there. It's doing damage to the shoulders. So could we evaluate some signage and look at that problem a little more closely? And I do have a suspicion it might be off 43.
I think you're probably right. I had to
That
guess.
they get going there and then they're like, oh no, we can't get across. And rather than there's no turnaround.
Right.
So they find that as a route, as a way to get back to Route 11.
Mhm.
But if we could have some signage maybe there that this is not a through road for tractor trailers.
We'll take a look at that for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Rob, a couple things. Thank you.
Mhm.
I want to thank you for meeting me and the other individuals, Cypress Court. I appreciate that. And also Steeple Chase Cottages. Thank you for getting that together. I know Ashley's working on that.
Sure.
There is a reply here that we have from an individual from the Troutville area. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I'd certainly be happy to give this to you.
Okay.
So that we can try to contact this individual and try to get some answers on
Okay,
this.
sure.
So I will leave this to you. And I would also ask another favor. Not about the roads, but about Travis and Rhonda, what they're going to have to say here soon.
Mhm.
So I'd appreciate you staying, just
Yeah,
listening for
sure.
a little bit on that.
Right. Be happy
Thank
to.
you very much.
you.
Okay. Number 11, consider resolution requesting that 2 streets, River Birch and Silk Reed, be taken into the VDOT secondary system highways. Mr. McCoy.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Before you is another resolution for your consideration to request that 2 streets in the Daleville Town Center be taken into the secondary system of highways. As you stated, this is River Birch Avenue and Silk Reed Circle. Both of these have been reviewed by our partners at VDOT and are eligible for acceptance into the state's resolution or state's secondary system of highways. So our recommendation to you is to review the resolution and approve that resolution, adopt it.
Any questions for Mr. McCoy? If no questions, you have in front of you the resolution, and this is for the adoption of this resolution. Do I have a motion?
Questions, it seems. Already. Willingness to.
Yes, sir.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Have we had any comments to?
Not that I'm
give
aware
on
of.
this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so your office hasn't heard anything?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now if we can go to number 13, the consideration of amendments of the Botetourt County mailing of personnel policies. Mr. Morton.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item before you is an effort to try to improve a disparity that currently exists in one of our employee group benefits programs. That's a benefit of disability insurance. Under the Virginia retirement system, in which all county employees are required to participate, there are 3 classifications of public employees. And I'll try to be as simple and quick about this as I can. There's Plan 1 employees, Plan 2 employees, and hybrid employees. And suffice it to say, these 3 groups of employees are somewhat treated differently under the Virginia retirement system in a variety of ways. But one significant difference is the Virginia retirement system provides disability insurance benefits, both short and long-term disability insurance benefits, to hybrid employees, but it is not provided to Plan 1 and Plan 2 employees. Plan 1 and Plan 2 employees are employees with longer terms of service in the state retirement system. Hybrid employees are newer employees that have come into the state retirement system within a more recent period of time. So with the passage of time, all local public employees will ultimately become hybrid employees. And so current disparities that we have in benefits will go away in time. But currently, there's disability insurance benefits available to hybrid employees of the county, but not to Plan 1 and Plan 2 employees of the county. So we've taken a look at that, and we've gone to the marketplace and looked to see what disability insurance benefits might be available in the private sector to offer our Plan 1 and Plan 2 employees to try to provide greater equity in that benefit. And so before you have some recommended amendments to our county personnel policy that would authorize participation in a new short and long-term disability benefit program for Plan 1 and Plan 2 employees. And it would also conversely modify the county's sick leave benefits for those employees. Currently, those employees can accrue unlimited sick leave since there's no disability benefits. They can also participate and derive paid leave through a sick leave bank. Again, because they don't have disability benefits. So this proposal would scale back sick leave accruals for those employees. It would eliminate the sick leave bank, but it would provide them then these group short and long-term disability benefits. The estimated cost for this in the current, on an annual basis, we're still finalizing that, but it looks like it would range between $100,000 and $120,000. And we would recommend that that be paid from the county's health fund. That's a fund that insurance premium contributions go into from employees as well as the county. And as if all of that money is not needed to pay for benefits, and it accumulates, and there's an adequate balance in that fund currently to fund this benefit, and that would be staff's recommendation for your consideration. Mary Blackburn, our Director of HR, is also here, and between she and myself, we'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have about this.
Any questions the board may have, Mr. Mormon? How long would?
I guess until the last Plan 2 employee retires, which, Mary, do you have a better answer to that? Yes. Mhm.
So most as they retire, hopefully that hybrid employee. So this expense should and in, I don't know, have a
And I probably should also add, this policy applies and governs employees under the Board of Supervisors in the County Administrator's Office. The draft language here that's suggested for your consideration is to make these benefits available also to the constitutional officers and their employees and to the registrar's office and employees, if those offices should elect to participate. And the only requirement would be if they want to participate in the disability program, they would need to adopt the county sick leave policies. Currently, some of those offices have different sick leave policies in the county. So what's recommended is that this program to be available to those offices should they wish to participate and should they elect to follow the county sick leave policies as presented to you today.
Good point. Any other questions? So in front of us, we have three recommendations. The first one is the approval of the proposed amendments to the county's manual of personnel policies as provided. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Second one is to authorize the staff to enter into agreements for short and long-term disability benefits for Plan 1, Plan 2, and hybrid employees as proposed, effective January 1st, 2024. Do I hear a motion?
For approval.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one, appropriate an amount not to exceed $100,000 from county health fund to cover the cost of said benefits for the current fiscal year. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. And Ms. Pendleton, Apex monthly update.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, members of the board. Still not too terribly much to update here. We are undergoing plan review and tend to have comments back to the applicant just as soon as we wrap that up. I believe we've gotten comments back from external reviewers, and so we'll just continue to go through that process of working through those plans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, don't go too far. I'm going to have you here for just a second. The appointments we have right now, consider reappointing of John W. Griffith and G. Lynn Haith III to the Economic Development Authority Board. Both are willing to be reappointed, and these are 4-year terms expiring November 1st, 2027. I'll make that consideration reappointment.
You making the motion?
Yep.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we go into our board member comments, and a couple things that we have seen on the news, and I can't express the strength that Rhonda's had in front of the camera. And Travis, thank you so much for what you've put together, and hopefully this will never, ever happen again. A terrible, devastating situation that occurred. That being said, we have had 2 offices that we've had individuals run through our office. And what I'm saying is that these patients are our patients at that point in time, they park, something happens and they run over the curb or the stop area. They come through the building, and one individual was hit in the back of the wheelchair, was kind of catapulted and had to go to the emergency room. The other individual had actually hit the gas, missed one of my patients barely, and then went through our optical. And it's a growing problem. And within the children's center, I can't imagine what the devastation was. Just seeing it, being around it, seeing those little kids in the hospital, emergency room, and even the employees. So I feel for you. But that being said, I don't know the answer, but I'd like to see, we have bollards in front of our building right now to prevent anybody to come into our building. And is this something we should be looking at, not only for the children's center, but kind of mandate that if there's a possibility to do so? I don't know what the grants we have with the present children's center. Is there something we can do? I'm going to turn some of this over to Nicole, can kind of give us some advice, some thoughts on how we can do some of this for the safety of our public within Botetourt County. And I would ask that if there is something that we can do, that other counties look beyond this. If you go to Florida, you see bollards all over those buildings. And it's just, it's critical. There's been several restaurants I know you guys have been in that you're always wondering if somebody's going to back into or go through. Now, being there and seeing it and hearing it, nobody knows what that's like, but we do. And it's not something you want to hear or see. So if Nicole, if you could kind of lead us to some of the things that we can look for. And then I'm going to have, if Travis and Rhonda could come down here after that and just kind of give us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my heart certainly goes out to everybody involved in that situation. Absolutely. From a regulatory perspective, and also just from being, members of the community and, being able to be helpful to the development community. We have been in communication with administration. I've been in communication with the folks in my department that, if we were to make any code changes or amendments that would require things. And in the meantime, one of the easiest things we can do is just relay the message to folks when they're coming into our office. We sit down with anybody who is looking to expand, looking to do anything new. Certainly, I know that this is fresh in the minds of folks, and not just for childcare, not just for medical facilities, but auto repair stores and gas stations and just about anybody. And as traffic increases, then we see more automobiles on the road. And so just having opportunities to recognize how we can potentially increase safety. So we would sit down anytime that we're having conversations with our development community folks and say, hey, this is something we'd recommend that you do. And a lot of times folks will obviously, this is a good idea. Thank you for recommending that, if they haven't already thought of it, or if they're designers haven't already been engaged. So, even just as part of the conversation, we'll certainly introduce that as part of the conversation as we look into other regulatory things. And we'll certainly reach out to our partners across the region, across the state, and even look into it even further than that and just kind of see what opportunities there might be out there to support, any of the costs that might be involved with doing some of those types of things.
Yeah, and I really appreciate it, especially for the present children's centers out there that are there, that they have a parking lot in front of them. Or if there's access to that situation, that's the first thing we can kind of always look for.
Yeah, we'd be happy to help.
The grant area. So thank you very much. And I'm sorry to take the board's time here, but I'd like to listen to Travis and Rhonda. A very touching and difficult situation to talk about. I'm sorry to put you guys in a spotlight here like this.
Good afternoon, board. Again, thank y'all for allowing us the time to come today. Excuse us if we do get a little emotional. We're here today to propose guardrail install. If you look on the papers I gave Lori, there's 2 spots here on our property that we would like to propose guardrail. One of them would be between the entrance and exit signs. The other one will be on the corner of Welch's Run and Laymantown. We have, for anybody that's been over there in that area, seen our daycare center, we've got a big field below. Kids are out there at play all the time. Anybody who misses the curve on Laymantown will end up going straight either into our parking lot again or into the field. The outcome might be different next time. We were very, very fortunate that we were not attending funerals the last 2 weeks that we've been trying to rebuild. For anybody who does not know, of course, y'all seen the news. The lady came down No Wood, came straight across Laymantown, came straight into the parking lot and nailed the front of our building at 35 plus miles per hour. Went a good 25 feet inside our building. The section of the building that they hit was our infant room. My 4-month-old was in there. The car missed him by 4 feet. I've got a teacher. We've got a teacher that's in ICU that just had partial leg amputation this past week because of this. The 2 kids that were sent to the hospital, one with a brain bleed, one with a bruised liver, is now home. It's a true miracle that we did not have fatalities. In the meantime, since the accident occurred on October the 10th, the building is being rebuilt. We are looking at opening up the 1st of November. In that time, I have contractors right now installing bollards in front of my building, 24 of them, at a hefty expense, but there is no expense higher than the importance of our children. That's why I'm hoping that with the board's approval and the backing, that will give us some extra leeway with VDOT to move forward with guardrail. I came from VDOT of 12 years. I have served Buchanan and Troutville as a manager for the maintenance department. So I know the processes that this will go through. I have spoken to Brian Blevins last week and started to push that forward, but I know with y'all's approval, that's just going to give us the extra push that we need to try to show the importance. And it's not just for our center that we want y'all to look at. It's all the other centers that serve Botetourt County for childcare. That building has been there for 33 years. I guess 11 or 12 of those we've been there as Children's Nest. Not once has this ever happened. Not once did we ever really think that it would happen. It's always been a scare. But, you know, it did. And like I said, the outcome of this is not something that's normally a good outcome. You know, doing some research on it, there is roughly, since 2020 to 2022, there's been 40% increase in vehicle into building crashes in the United States. That's roughly 100 times every day. 16,000 people are injured every year and 2,500 are killed. If you do research, there has been numerous daycares that's been ran into, either into a building, into a play yard. Several kids have been injured or killed. And like I said, you know, we were just fortunate that we were not one of the ones that could be labeled as a fatality. So again, you know, like I said, I want to thank the board for allowing us to be here. And again, you know, we are just looking forward to trying to have y'all's approval and y'all's backing to push this further, to get guardrail at 161 Laymantown in those two areas, but to also look forward to looking at your other centers and your other commercial buildings to where this could be stopped. And like I said, the Ballard part, we are on that. I will have that completed by the middle of this week. And like I said, you know, I've talked to Mark Bowles about this, and I told him I would be more than glad to help out in any way that I can on how we designed ours, and what we're doing to protect our building. And, you know, any way that we can be assistance to help y'all, please let us know.
Thank you. Raman, I don't know if there's anything, she's still here, okay. Is there anything that we need to do to make sure that some of this does happen? Okay. Are you?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know. I talked to Brian on the phone, you know, he said, you know, sometimes VDOT does this for schools, but they frown against it when it comes to a commercial building. I know I am commercial, but I'm a state licensed building, but I house 70 to 90 kids. So I consider my building school.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But how long does it take to get that answer back? Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other things we can do to help you all? I mean, I just can't imagine emotionally what you both are going through, and those parents and the people that have had their children hurt. And
Yeah, just keep all of our parents and 60 families. I mean, all the Botetourt. Just keep them all in your prayers, and the 90 kids that we have displaced everywhere. We have people just chipping in and trying to help take care of them so the parents can go to work. And we're diligently trying to work with insurance companies, and we do not own the building. I just want to make sure that is known. We rent the building. We're in negotiations to purchase it. But right now I'm doing what we need to do to make sure that when the families walk back in and the children are there, that I know that it's a safer environment. And that's why we're pushing real hard. Actually, Steve Jameson, Building Consultants, is putting up the bollards for us right now. We've contracted them to do that. And, you know, I've reached out to some of the Luke Campbell and a few others in the Botetourt administration, and seeing if there are any kind of grants or anything out there that can help, you know, not only us, but other, you know, businesses or centers or, you know, whoever in the area that may have, you know, this visibility. And when I say visibility, it's the way that the roads are designed. It's where buildings are built. And, you know, like I said, I don't own the building. I didn't build it. I did choose because it was a child care center there before. And it's a great opportunity for us in
the deficit we have with childcare right now, to be able to be there. And we stay full and we have waiting lists by pages. So I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to be there, but I got to make sure that I have the support and the, with all to know that I've done everything possible on the roads, on the curbs, on the gutters, on the, ditches. I mean, if you drive down Laymantown, the traffic has tremendously increased, even for us over the last 10 years. They've just put a school down the road that I have buses zipping by in the mornings and in the afternoons. I have to think about all those things. I have a bus that stops and lets children out. There's a lot of traffic through there. We've got other businesses now, opportunities coming in. I don't deny those. I welcome those. But when you do that, you have to look at the whole picture and make arrangements for everything else to fit around it. Out there on Laymantown and 460 with the stoplight, we have numerous amount of accidents. And every time I hear a siren, I think, oh my goodness, is that one of my parents with the child in there down at the end of the road? And we've literally jumped in our cars and went to make sure that it wasn't our families in those accidents. So, I think the whole area as a whole in that area, because of the increase in, the commercial property, increasing in the schools, just increased in Botetourt growing in all. We have to change the way we do things in the roads and the way we manufacture stuff.
Let me ask you, Rhonda, just a real quick question, and this is kind of crazy. Is there a children's care network that you have locally that you all talk and you get together?
Yeah,
and
we
say
with
the
the other
importance?
directors and stuff.
And, this is crazy, but is there adopt a ballot? Is an adoptive, adopt a barrier of some sort? That'd be kind of nice that if that got out to social media, that you have a barrier that you could adopt.
Okay. I don't know if there's anything like that.
Anything that I think that those individuals would be out there gravitating. I don't know. That was just a thought.
Right.
Just going through.
Well, and we've even talked about that with, with our ballots. I mean, there's 24 of them going in. It's not cheap.
Yeah. No, it's not. We've already put ours up.
I mean, who would have thought, that, setting as far off of the road as we are, I never imagined getting that phone call.
No. Thank you. I know you needed more time. That's why I put you.
No, we're good.
This,
We're good.
but-
And thank you for all your prayers and everybody reaching out in the community. It's been overwhelming and much needed. And please keep our teacher in your prayers.
We will. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, board, for letting me have them talk.
Absolutely.
Any other comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment I'd like to make. Excuse me, this is relative to the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission and the Roanoke Transportation Planning Organization. Two very important regional organizations. Our county is represented by Supervisor Martin and me. Billy has been active in incredible ways on both of those, the Transportation Planning Organization and the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission since 2003. He was, last week, we had our annual banquet and happened to be in Botetourt at the retreat at Crooked Run. Very nice event. At the conclusion of the event, the chairman of the executive director of the regional commission called Billy up and this, I've been on that group a long time. I've never seen this done. He was honored for his leadership and dedication is the word that they used on the TPO and the planning commission. For many years, he was chairman of both organizations. He represents them both with VACO and he just a perfect example of regional cooperation that Billy has been able to be in a leadership position on those two organizations. And something we don't know a whole lot about on this board because we don't have to engage with it. But it's a pretty demanding assignment. And Billy's been with it for over 15 years. I may have said the date's wrong before. 2008, I think it is 2023. So just wanted to share that with you. That was an unusual recognition, and Billy took it home. So.
Billy, congratulations. Thank you for all your work you've done.
Way to go, Billy.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I would like to respond. I received a letter at last month's board meeting from a attendee, a constituent of the county, and they specifically asked me to reply. So I thought a public reply might be nice because other people might have these same questions. It was about the town of Buchanan, and specifically this individual had been in the town of Buchanan for some time, the month before that meeting, and found that a lot of empty storefronts, a lot of storefronts for sale, and did not seem to be much economic activity. And so that individual asked me a number of questions regarding the lack of activity in Buchanan. So I did want to address that just a little bit here, and this will kind of be a rah-rah for the town. So be prepared for that. But first and foremost, the way the town of Buchanan is structured is they have an individual town council that manages their economic development. Their decisions about the town are made by that council. The Board of Supervisors doesn't really govern in the town of Buchanan per se, but I do want to thank Ken McFadden and his team. They are extremely helpful when there are economic development opportunities for the town. They are quick to jump in and support the town. So the county plays more of a supportive role when the town asks us to, but the town really makes those decisions and handles that themselves at their council. Their council is their town management really is undergoing some changes right now, as small town politics often get sticky. It's a little sticky right now in the town with respect to management. That being said, first and foremost, I think it's incumbent upon all of us who love our communities to support them through thick and thin. Regarding the lack of economic activity, I wanted to go through and point out some what I think are really recent wins and some momentum that this town has gained. And so I'd like to share a few things. This makes me nervous to have a list because I will inevitably leave someone out. I'm sorry for that. But I do want to point out some of the positive things that are happening. Just this summer, we had 3 festivals that brought in over 5,000 people each. We had the Botetourt County Fair that had thousands of people attend it. Every Saturday, there's a very successful and very busy flea market. In this letter, there was a lot of questions about the river and the Twin Rivers Outfitters. They have been one of our steadfast businesses, and this was the second busiest summer that they had ever reported. I've talked to them, and condolences to Twin Rivers as one of the partners died this week or last week, one of the brothers, and that is a very sad thing for the town and for that family. Other businesses that are relatively new, but I think doing very, very well. The Drip, a coffee and ice cream shop and sandwich shop, is doing a very good business. There's the Best Place Antique Store. There is Stable Hill Gallery. Those are all businesses that have been there probably a year or two and doing quite well. We just recently cut the ribbon, I think about 6 weeks ago, on the Anchorage House, which if you haven't had a chance to go through there and visit, this is, when I was growing up, it was the funeral home. It has been renovated, and there are murals inside this now bed and breakfast, which are absolutely phenomenal. There are a lot of river art there, and there is a map of the Commonwealth of Virginia. You would love it, Steve. It's try to get down there and visit it. It's beautiful. Just within the last couple of weeks, the Sycamore Place General Store has opened on Main Street. along with First 11 Coffee, a new coffee shop. I had coffee with a constituent there this morning. It's really lovely. They have light food, and I suspect they will be doing very well. What is really, I think, exciting about some of these projects is they are all old buildings that are being renovated and repurposed and put into use. I think that is just a tremendous way to grow that town and that economy. There are renovations going on the old school buildings on Low Street. Someone has purchased those. And of course, we know about the Grondike project. The old button factory, which was then Grondike, is transforming into a brewery and housing. There will be some Airbnbs as well as some apartments there for rent. And the last thing I will say is that, two things really. If you're interested in learning about these things and how Buchanan's handling their development, I urge everybody to go to the town council meetings. I try to go routinely. They're on the second Monday every month. That's a great way to learn about what the town is doing. And then they have applied for and receive and are in the throes of a grant called the Recreational Economy for Rural Communities Grant. And this is I think, Ken, a federal program. And we are getting guidance. The town has a really large contingent of people working on this grant, getting guidance at the federal level on how to leverage assets, recreational assets, to support rural communities while maintaining their rural character. And that was one of the main conversations that we had at the initial kickoff meeting for this grant, is how do we expand our economy and use these assets without losing the charm of the small town. So those are kind of some things that are happening in Buchanan. There were a lot of questions in this letter, and I appreciate them so much. I'm always happy to talk about Buchanan, and I'm proud of what we're doing there. I feel like there is momentum. So I encourage you all to become involved in your communities, and please come down and visit some of these awesome businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, we'll reconvene at 6 o'clock.
Where does your board meet now? Your
Right
chamber?
beside the Bank of Botetourt, there's a town municipal building. And it's right beside Bank of Botetourt on Main Street.
Okay. Gotcha.
Thank you. See you there, Billy.
Monday, what time?
Well, I